Good morning, Daily Dose of Danny followers. I know I feel like and look like crap today, but that's okay. It's all right. I'm gonna shower and improve my look before I go out in public. So yesterday I had to go get an ultrasound because my right leg from the knee down was really swollen, and I was freaking out. It hurt so bad. I could barely walk on Sunday night. Literally, I had to have Grace help me get back into my bedroom. It was a nightmare. It hurt so much. I was just in agony. And my cardiologist ordered an ultrasound to see if, God forbid, there's a blood clot or something in there. So I went and had the ultrasound yesterday. Good news, no blood clot. It was a Baker's cyst, which is a cyst that apparently formed behind my knee and ruptured, and all the fluid went down into my lower calf. So, two things. First of all, wow. Second of all, at least I wasn't imagining that this was real and my leg was inflamed. You know how sometimes you look at things and you look at them for so long, you convince yourself that you're not seeing what you're seeing? That's what I thought was happening. I was like, maybe it's not big, maybe I'm dreaming it, but it hurt so much. Anyways, it's getting better. The treatment for a ruptured Baker's cyst is rest, ice, compression, elevation. I'm all about that. Okie dokie. So here's some things that have been in the news. There's some controversy about how things are written in the newspaper, and the New York Times has made a definitive statement about this. When they're writing about black people, they're going to capitalize the B in black. When they write about white people or white privilege or a white system or anything like that, it's a lowercase w. A few reasons for this. First of all, black is a culture and wish I could think of the other word they used. And it's given a capital uppercase B because it deserves it. And one of the reasons they're not capitalizing the W in white is because that is like a dog whistle to white supremacists. They want the W capitalized. Anyways, the New York Times decided that they'd make a statement about this, so that, because there's been a question. There actually was a letter to the editor of my local paper about this, why the B in black is capitalized and the W in white is not. That's why. It's just another way to respect the black culture. So a lot of stuff's being written about your favorite president. Oh, I'm tricking you, Thomas Jefferson. And the truth about Thomas Jefferson. And the truth about Thomas Jefferson is he wasn't just a slave owner. So listen to this story. So Thomas Jefferson's married to a woman named Martha. Does every president from long ago have a wife named Martha? Interesting, right? He's married to this woman named Martha. Martha's dad gave her a gift. The gift was a 2-year-old black child named Sally Hemings. The child was Martha's dad's child with one of his slaves, because, the white people that had slaves, the men routinely raped the slave women and had babies with them, and of course disavowed them. But he gave this to Martha as like a birthday present. Here, honey, here's your 2-year-old sister. So Sally Hemings was a slave in the Thomas Jefferson household. When Martha died, Sally Hemings was like 14 years old, and TJ decided that he was going to take her as his girlfriend, quote unquote girlfriend. He started traveling around with her. He impregnated her. He had children with her. I mean, it's so fucked up to even say these things like they're normal. They're not normal. They're fucked up. And this is another reason why black America does not think Thomas Jefferson's the greatest thing going. So I thought that was an interesting story. I also wanted to read this thing that was posted on Facebook that was shared. And it was shared by my friend Christine Lombardi. And I've seen it before, but I'm going to read it. Okay. 400 years ago, white people brought black people over here and enslaved them and sold them and treated them as less than human. For 250 years, they did that. While white men formed the country and created its laws and its systems of government, while 10 to 15 generations of white families got to grow and flourish and make choices that could make their lives better. And then 150 years ago, white people freed black people from slavery. But then angry white people created laws that made it impossible for black people to vote or to own land or to have the same rights as white people, and even erected monuments glorifying people who actively had fought to keep them enslaved. All while another 5 or 10 generations of white families got to grow and accumulate wealth and gain land and get an education. Then 60 years ago, only 60 years ago, we made it legal, quote unquote, for black people to vote and to be, quote unquote, free from discrimination. But angry white people still fought to keep schools segregated, closed off neighborhoods to white people only, and made it harder for black people to get bank loans or get quality education or health care or to, gasp, marry a white person. All while another 2 to 3 generations of white families got to grow and pass their wealth down to their children and their children's children. And then we entered an age where we had the technology to make public the things that were already happening in private. The beatings, the stop and frisk laws, the unequal distribution of justice, the police brutality. Police began in America as slave patrols designed to catch runaway slaves. That's how the police system originally was formed. And now, after 400 plus years and 20 plus generations of a white head start, are we starting to truly have dialogue about what it means to be black? White privilege doesn't mean you haven't suffered or fought or worked hard. It doesn't mean white people are responsible for the sins of their ancestors. It doesn't mean you can't be proud of who you are. It does mean that we need to acknowledge that the system our ancestors created is built for white people. It does mean that we aren't disadvantaged because of the color of our skin, and it does mean that we owe it to our neighbors of all colors to acknowledge that and work to make our world more equitable. So, duh, no shit, is what I have to say to all these white people that are arguing this point. You guys are stupid. This is facts. And as I said yesterday, you must learn your history, okay? History is history is history. And your history has been whitewashed. 100%. The history we learned in school was whitewashed. We never learned about all the things that are truths about the black experience. Like, most people don't even know what redlining is. They don't understand the causal link between what we pay in our property taxes for schools and how that's a lot higher in white neighborhoods than it is in black neighborhoods, and how because of that black schools suck and white schools are great. So all I'm saying to all the white people out there is just learn something new, okay? Dive a little deeper. Don't just live on the surface and think from your vantage point it all looks good from here. Take a look, read, do some research, watch some of these documentaries that are all over Netflix and every other channel under the sun, and try to figure out how you personally can do better. Because when you know better, you're required to do better, period. Okay. So I'm sure people on Twitter, I know people on Twitter. Why am I yawning, you ask? Because I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning and I got up at 6:30, and then I fell back asleep, and then I got up at 7:30, and then I fell back asleep and got up at 8. Not a lot of sleep. And now I'm fasting for this nuclear cardiac stress test that I have today, so, you know, I couldn't have coffee. Anyhow, that's why I'm yawning. And I'm coughing because what's a day without a cough? So there's this thing on Twitter about Tucker Carlson and an interview that he held with this Dutch historian. And this Dutch guy talked about how he went to Davos and started talking about how, you know, rich people don't pay taxes. And he really, you know, it's a bunch of rich people at Davos. And anyways, Tucker Carlson was losing his shit, trying to talk over the guy, and and the Dutch historian said to Tucker Carlson, "You're a millionaire financed by billionaires." And he just shit all over Fox News. And anyways, it was amazing because, you know, fucking hate Fox News. But then this whole thing started, hashtag tax the rich. So in that vein, let me just say that we have our tax bill. We, Stockham Construction, Danny and Boyd Stockham. It's fucking huge. It's a humongous tax bill. And as I've stated many times, I have no problem paying taxes. It's the cost of doing business in America. You make money, you pay taxes. That's just life. That's how it is. That's how it's been set up. Maybe the tax system is wrong. Maybe there's some inequities in the tax system. The inequities are at the 1%. I'm not a 1%er. Why doesn't Amazon pay any taxes? Why doesn't Netflix pay any taxes? Why doesn't Google pay any taxes? What, you know what I mean? Why don't these people pay taxes? If they paid their fair share and you had an equitable place to start, that'd be one thing. But it's companies like my husband's and similar sized companies that are shouldering the tax burden of an entire demographic of people. It's an astronomical tax bill. And it's really hard to swallow because you know that there's many, many, many companies that have loopholes and, you know, putting their money in the Caymans or Bermuda or wherever they're shipping their money and assets off to. I mean, I suppose we could be savvy enough to do all that, but it's criminal. So why would you do it? It's tax evasion. People have gone to prison for tax evasion. It just doesn't seem right, but at the same time, it's patently unfair. It's a completely unfair tax system. So I'm just mentioning that as an aside. Hashtag tax the rich. Please tell me you're not talking about me. That's all I got to say. Okay, then I read this article about Stockton, California, and how they're doing a pilot program, which is like a universal wage. That was, if you're on the Yang gang, when Yang was running for president, that was his idea. So they started like some kind of little pockets around the nation where they're going to try this and see how it works. And in Stockton, they did $500 to each person, no matter what their level of wealth or how poor they were. Everyone got $500. And the mayor of Stockton, who's a very young person to be mayor, he's like in his 20s, I think. He said that he was shocked at the difference that $500 made. So dovetailing into what I talked about yesterday with all these evictions that are going to happen, these COVID evictions, he was saying that the $500 universal, what's it called? Universal living wage, $500 stipend that a person received was the difference between them being evicted and not evicted. And $500 to most people seems like not a huge game changer, but to a lot of people, especially right now, it is. It's exactly that. It's a game changer. So I don't know how I feel about this whole, Yang's idea was to give $1,000 to every American every year and see how that builds our economy. But the mayor of Stockton was saying that, it's keeping people from being homeless. And he only did $500 because that's all they had for their grant. But there's a bunch of other mayors that are jumping on board with this. And let's just think about this for a second. If there's 500,000 homeless people in the United States living on the streets, and we assume that half of those homeless people are homeless, but they're not mentally ill and they're not drug addicted. They're just homeless because they can't afford a home. And some of these people live on the streets and still go to jobs and then go back and live on the streets or in their car or whatever. They're still homeless. If $1,000 from the government helped them get the leg up, because living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes it's just not enough money to get an apartment. You can't afford first, last, and the security deposit. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's something to think about. It's something I thought about a lot when Yang was running because I liked a lot of his ideas. They're super progressive though, so if you're not of that ilk, you're going to think it's super bullshit. Okay, next. So, I'm going through this thing right now with my heart or whatever it is. We don't know if it's my heart, but it's something. And after that, I got just a bunch of lovely heartfelt messages from my friends, phone calls, FaceTimes. And my one friend who's vegan told me that I should watch this thing on Netflix called Game Changers. So I watched it and I was like, holy shit. First of all, it's not a thing like, about the meat industry. It's not a thing about the poultry industry and how animals are, it's not like that. It's about how eating a plant-based diet is a game changer for your health in so many ways. Countless ways. I mean, mind-blowing ways. So I watched it again with my husband and my daughters, and we are having serious discussion about going vegan, having a plant-based diet. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be that hard for me. I'm already a vegetarian. I mean, I will have to be a vegetarian, though, not a pescatarian. They don't even like you eating fish in a plant-based diet because obviously fish don't come from plants. But there's so many alternatives on the market. I mean, you go to Whole Foods and you can get everything vegan that you want under the sun. It's like a real grocery store doing real groceries, but it's vegan. Like I bought some vegan cheese just to try it to see if it was vile and disgusting. It's actually, I can't even tell the difference. And I love cheese. I'm like a cheese person. So this is something we're going to try. We might try with like 2 days a week doing it, just like to kind of jump in and then expand out to be full vegan. But it's interesting. So I encourage anyone that's interested, especially if you're an athlete, because this Game Changers is really about athletes and how a plant-based diet helps you recover faster, which is something my husband complains about all the time. Like the older he gets, the harder it is to recover after water skiing or a good workout or a hard run. Helps you recover quicker. It helps you stave off injuries. Reduces inflammation in your body after an injury. It talks about testosterone in men and how, men who eat a lot of meat, as they age, they lose their virility. I mean, it's a real thing. It happens. And they talked about that. It's kind of a really funny part of the movie, but super interesting. A lot of wide eyes in my house when that was on. But anyways, so it's called Game Changers. It's on Netflix. I encourage you to watch it. It's super interesting. I drank carrot juice this morning because now I can, after 9:45, I can only have liquids, water. But I couldn't have coffee, so I drank carrot juice this morning. I looked up carrot juice, like what's it good for? Sounds like a song. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. No, that's war. War is good for nothing. Carrot juice is good for everything. It's good for your skin. It's good for your eyes, which everybody knew that. It's a good way to expel free radicals. It's good for your digestive system. There's so many benefits to drinking carrot juice, and it tastes pretty good. Tastes like carrots, but it tasted pretty good. I drank a whole liter of it. Half a liter of it. Not a whole liter, that'd be a lot. Half a liter of it. So anyways, that's where we are. Okay, I'm gonna get our Knowing God for Girls because we're a few days behind. Well, you guys are, I'm not. I've been reading it every day. But you guys are behind. Keep up. July. The future is as bright as the promises of God. That's a Jonariam Judson. I don't know who that is. I'm saying his name wrong, whoever he is. Knowing God by celebrating him. The Lord your God has blessed everything you have done. He has protected you while you traveled through this great desert. The Lord your God has been with you for the past 40 years, and you have had everything you needed. That's Deuteronomy 2:7. Everyone loves a party. Parties are fun because people are happy. There's lots of fun and laughter, games and food. Any reason for a party works, right? Here's a good one. Celebrate God. What does that mean? Here's a few ideas. Celebrate because you can read this book. Celebrate because you have a home. Celebrate because you have a family who loves you. Celebrate because you can attend church, read the Bible, pray to him. Celebrate because you can go to school. These are a few reasons. Can you come up with more? God takes care of your every need, not wants, but needs. Celebrate him for all he does for you. Well, so yeah, okay, well, we can't celebrate going to school. We can't really even have a party to celebrate because COVID is robbing us of that. And let me just say, at a time like this, while many people are turning to their faith for comfort, many people are turning away from God and saying, really, God? Really, God? Especially in Northern California where you're like, okay, we had the fire, thanks. All our houses burned down. Then we had like insurance crises and the crisis with PG&E, and then the whole stress and trauma of rebuilding, and then getting back to school, and then another fire that made us close down school, and then COVID. It's like people are questioning their faith, like how, and this is a common faith question, like how can we continue to trust God when there's so many bad things going on in the world? And purists, religious purists, will explain that to you, and it'll kind of make sense, but everyone has their own thing. And I know, like, for my daughters, when they think about me and my health crises, they're like, oh, really, God? Really? This is how we're balancing the scales here? And they've been through a lot with me, from when they were Grace is in kindergarten, I broke my neck, and then, I had the hand surgery to replace all the joints in my hand. That was horrible. It was 3 different surgeries. Then the knee replacement. Then we were on spring break in San Diego, and I got really sick and was in the ICU with septic pneumonia. And literally it was like, is she going to live? We don't know. And then this last sickness with the stroke. And then now this thing with my heart, potentially. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, how much is too, and why is he picking on me? And I think for my girls, they are questioning things like, it seems really fucking unfair. Like, why do you keep targeting my mom? As Leah said, why doesn't Dad get something? He's strong. He can get through it. Not that I'm not strong, and not that I haven't gotten through all these things, because I have. But it's just like, why is it always me? And as a mother, that's heartbreaking to think that they think that way, that they're so sad over me being sick. I mean, Leah's just a wreck. She says things to me like, when I go to hang out with my friends, I wonder if it's the last time I'm going to see you. I mean, that's soul crushing. And she worries about me, and she's turned into this warrior in a really dramatic way. And it makes me so sad. There's not anything I can do about that except to tell her Mom's going to be fine. And I can only say that with the conviction that I have, my own conviction and my own belief that I am going to be fine, because I've always been fine, and why wouldn't I be fine now? Do you know what I mean? But that's not really an assurance. It's just like the vibe I put out there and believe in. So anyways, it's Wednesday, so I'm going to go do this nuclear stress test at 1:45. It's like 2.5 hours. And there's some breaks in there. So during the breaks, I can listen to my book on my phone with my earphones, AirPods, whatever the hell these things are called. AirPods. They're still green, so they're charged up. And then they told me to bring a snack because I've been fasting, and, snacking is good. And I was making a joke with my sister that I was going to take like a picnic basket and make a big dramatic flare, like I'm going to make a sandwich. And then we started talking about Yogi the Bear. Where's the picnic basket, boo-boo? Do you know what I mean? It's funny. I'm not going to do that. Please, I don't even eat that much. I probably throw a granola bar in my handbag. But anyways, off we go to the next adventure. Hoping for a good result, praying that it'll be a good result, feel like it should be a good result. But what do I know? I never predicted any of the other shit. I mean, the knee replacement I scheduled, the hand thing I chose to do. But all the other shit was like, circumstantial, like, oh, by the way, you broke your neck. Oh, by the way, you had a stroke. Oh, by the way, you have septic pneumonia. Like, I didn't sign on for those. And I didn't really sign on for this cardiac bullshit. But I also said to my husband the other day, when I broke my neck, I was training for a triathlon. Like the healthiest I've been in a really fucking long time. And before any surgery I ever had electively, I really got myself ready for it, like health-wise, like swam and, got healthy, because it's important to be healthy before you go under the knife. And then when I had my stroke, I was healthy. I felt great. I was like moving and grooving, and I was just really feeling good. And I have a stroke. And then since the stroke, my regime is like off the charts, like exercising 30 minutes every day, swimming, doing low-impact aerobics classes, eating well, just really watching my diet, on and on. I told you all these things before. And then, are you fucking kidding me? There's something wrong with my heart. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's ironic that every time I was doing the best that I could possibly do health-wise, something bad happened. I mean, if I was of the mind to think this way, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm just going to start laying on the couch and stay healthy. But no one stays healthy laying on the couch. I got to drop some poundage, so that's not going to happen. But anyways, it's Wednesday. I'm going to meditate with Melissa and Chad at 6 o'clock tonight. I encourage you all to join me there. It's so great. Hopefully I'll see some of my sisters, one of my sisters, two of my sisters, a few of my sisters there. 6 o'clock, meditate with Melissa and Chad. And then that's really all I can commit to today. Okay? I'm fasting. I'm going to shower. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to go to this thing in my comfortable clothes with my earphones, AirPods, iPads, whatever they're called. And then I'm going to come home. It takes 2.5 hours, I guess. This is quite the elaborate jigaboo thing. And then I'm going to meditate. That's how it's going to be. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.